Oh wow, help welcome. It's Saturday morning and I'm here having an amazing time with my friends over at SNL Bookkeeping. And my name is Sarita. I go by Sai and I'm with Cheez. And we help businesses fund. We get businesses funded so that they can grow and scale their businesses. And today's topic, we're going to dig right into something that every business needs to know about, and that's about finishing strong, funding smarter, and winning 2026. So,
Mm,
super excited about this topic. And really, let's just dig into this what the numbers are saying and how we want to know what are our bookkeeping, our numbers, the business financials, what are they really saying, and how can we be loan ready for before 2026? So, most business owners, and when you think about it, they're always wondering, okay, what's the biggest problem that is causing me to not get funding? Well, guess what?
mm.
The truth is clarity. Lenders do not fund vibes; they fund stories through numbers. Today, we're breaking down uh, what happens behind the scenes in the world of bookkeeping and how that really relates to getting funded. And let's talk about our guest today. Um, Super excited to welcome Harrison and Elijah. So, Harrison, let's start with Harrison. He's the co founder and partner of Salt and Light Bookkeeping, where he leads the accounting and infrastructure efforts for clients. Prior to Salt and Light, Harrison has worked in finance and accounting roles across business advisory firms, private health, and commercial real estate. In his tenure, he has served in over 100 with, excuse me, 150 clients, more than 150 clients, right, Harrison?
Yeah.
And their portfolio of entities within their financials and accounting. When he's not crunching numbers, Harrison fills his time chasing the next intense race, High Rocks, and fellowship at the Blessing Church. Wow, you got to tell me about that, Harrison. And let's also talk about Elijah. He's a dear friend and he's the fellow co founder and partner at Salt and Light. Elijah leads the client relationship and business development efforts for Salt and Light. Before taking the leap into entrepreneurship, he served as a lead analyst in a commercial real estate and business and other startups, leading over 250 million in CRE assets and growing a coffee startup from 1 to 5 locations through financial oversight and business systems. Go, Elijah. That's awesome. And
You're too kind.
that's it. And after hours, Elijah is a self proclaimed coffee snob and is an active member of the Blessing Church as well. Salt and Light Bookkeeping. Welcome to the show today. Good to have you.
Thank you so much, Sarita, and thank you for the kind intro. That was really nice of you. And honestly, we're excited to be here and see what we can do to help, yeah, just educate and help those out there wanting to know how do we get loan ready? How do we prepare ourselves to make that killer first impression with lenders?
I love it. And oh my gosh, before we even get into the really serious talk, right? Let's have an icebreaker. So let's talk about this High Rocks. What is that, by the way, Harrison? What is High Rocks
It's,
Racing?
I don't really. There's this joke out there that people do high rocks always talks about high rocks, and I don't want to be like part of the meme, but high rocks is basically a competitive race. It's like a half marathon where you do it for time, but it's not just running. It is a mixture of running and also doing some workouts in between. So you do, like, for example, you do 1 kilometer of run, and then you do burpee broad jumps, and then you basically repeat that 8 times and do it as fast as possible.
Oh wow.
And then yeah, and then you kind of be in pain for a few days. But that's part of
Oh,
He's humbling it down. It was an intense race. I was out there supporting him, and man, it's insane the stuff the people can do. Yeah.
wow. So we really what we should do is book you for a 2026, workout resolution, workout coaching session. Harrison, that's probably what we need to all get in shape.
That's possible. That's possible. We can put that in our advisory, in our bookkeeping advisory extras.
Added service.
I
Added
love
service.
it. And then Elijah, okay, you're a coffee snob. So where is your favorite coffee shop here in Dallas and what do you order when you go?
Oh man, that's a tough one. Honestly, Native Coffee by far. They are this mad scientist in Colombia that produces, farms the cherries, picks them, roasts them, all experimental processes, and he'll freeze dry and bring it to Dallas. And this one location in the US, not sure why he picked Dallas, but that's his art gallery of sorts. And so go in there. If you get a drip coffee, there's this one that tastes, they switch it out every week. So you get something new every week. There's this one that tastes just like horchata. It's incredible. It's just coffee and water. It's amazing. Yeah.
And we met there. I know when we had a meetup there and I had never heard of Native Coffee, but I absolutely love the place. It's super cozy and it's really packed too. You can meet a lot of people in there.
It is. It is my go-to spot. It was so fun to just chat there. Yeah.
Nice. I love it. So I want to just dig right in. So let's just talk about this. Let's talk about this how numbers tell stories for businesses. And in a fun way, everyone knows what a resume is. And when we think about a resume, we think about someone going to apply or interview for a job and they take this resume into an office and they sit down and they talk about themselves. Well, how would you say that the accounting, the bookkeeping, the numbers that we tell about a business are similar to a resume?
Absolutely. Something that's so beautiful about bookkeeping is it's that way that we communicate, right? The story behind growing sales, creating a nice product, closing that big contract, reining in your expenses and the funding and your balance sheet. It's how do we make that all a language that lenders, accountants, owners can all understand so that we can make the best decisions we need to make. And that's why we get super excited about what we do. And I know it's numbers, but numbers tell a beautiful story. It shows how you're growing revenues each month. It shows how you're supporting that growth and where that could potentially go. And so that's something we're excited about. It's more than just the numbers do tell a story, and we're excited to help business owners put their best foot out there so they can find the right lender and yeah, also provide present themselves well. Yeah.
That's wonderful, Elijah. And how would you, let's just think about a brand new client coming in to meet with Salt and Light. How does Salt and Light uh, onboard the new clients? Like, what type of experience do they get? And what are some of those discovery questions that you're asking to get into their business? I like to say that because it sounds nosy, but that's really what you're doing, right?
Absolutely. It's funny, how many people do you tell how much you make in life? And it's you can probably count it on one finger, right? And so what we really like to do is we like to build a relationship first. It's whether it's a coffee, we really believe that trust is a big part of it. And so it's really just getting to know each other, one, and then we can always get into business as well. And so some discovery questions are, what is the business? Where do you want to take it? Where are you? So how do we diagnose where you are, what needs to be done to get to where you want to go, and how do we help you and support you as a business owner in the in between? Some discovery questions we like to ask are, yeah, are your how seasonality, right? Not all businesses are making sales every day. Some make large sales every quarter, every half year, every maybe they sign one big contract a year and they have to use that big revenue paid up front and expense throughout the entire year that way. And so we want to understand how their business works and how to best understand it is just, yeah, having a coffee and going down the line. Yeah.
That's wonderful. And Harrison, what are your thoughts about that too? When you're meeting with clients, what are some of those uncomfortable questions that you find that some maybe clients get a little bit uneasy, they don't really know how to answer it, or tell me your thoughts and input on that too.
Yeah, so I'm an accountant, so I'm really a numbers guy. So I always ask the numbers. Well, Elijah too, but I like to ask the numbers to. I like to meet them where they're at. Like if they're, for example, if they're nonprofit, we're not going to charge what a $2 million company revenue i- is gonna get charged. And also, like, we also like to know what their goal is. Uh, if their goal is to do lending, or if their goal is to just have the clean books, if their goal is to just pass through tax season, it always depends on what their goal is. And yeah, we always try to meet them where they're at. And I think asking financials is always the hardest because not everyone is accountant, not everyone is into finances, numbers. So sometimes it may be difficult to um, yeah, just get to the answer really quick. So we usually have to go through it together. Like, okay, let's see the books. What do you have? What does your balance sheet look like now? What does your 12-month statement look like now? Yeah, just going through them, going through it with them, and that usually, yeah, from my experience, what has happened. The client Elijah is more of the client base. I'm more of like, let me just look at the books. So we might have like different experiences.
Right, absolutely. No, that's a wonderful thing because you're able to connect with clients in both ways, in the relationship side of creating trust and rapport, and also performing, getting them the results they know that they need. They need some
Absolutely.
tracking and structure to their companies. I mean, otherwise everybody would be in the wild, wild west, you know, like cattle being herded. So so
Hmm.
that's a wonderful balance of how you complement each other. And when we think about what lenders are looking for, obviously lenders want to see clean financials that tell a story of clarity, consistency, and credibility. But
Hmm.
how do we define that in your world? What should that look like for a business?
Absolutely. Like you said, lenders are in the business of consistency, safety, security, right? And the beautiful part is bookkeeping does a good job to help with that. And so, what the question we asked before was, yeah, what is the timeline of your revenues, of your expenses, right? Should your books be done monthly, annually? Like, how do we make sure that we're presenting yourself consistently? And so, what we'll do is, what lenders really want to know is, hey, what are your net profits? Hey, if I were to extend a loan to you, does it require that your business save all your revenue from month one at a large contract? And then you have to actually escrow the loan service or the debt service for a certain months, right? Until you close your next contract. And it's meeting them in the middle. If they have reports that they can look at every month, hey, we got the report this month, we got the same report next month, the lender can just sit back and relax and know that their money is in a good spot because they know that the business owner cares enough to understand their books, to present it well, and to know, hey, lender, I care about your books. I care that you know your investment is safe. Here's my books. Here's my transparency, and let's work together. It's a partnership. And we love bridging that gap, being the translator, if you will, from, hey, these sales, these expenses, these profits, and giving, yeah, a super easy, simple package to a lender once a month or whatever they're needing.
Awesome. And you know what? I'm sure the $1 million question, and I'm going off script by the way.
Come on, bring it on.
This conversation has my mind just, I'm reminiscing about client meetings that I have every day, because I do help clients navigate through the world of getting access to capital. And I work with lenders and I work with the businesses. But when I talk to them, I'm sure you have the same experience where people have no idea what a lot of the jargon means. Like when we're asking for balance sheet and P&L and debt
Hmm.
schedules and wanting to see all of those things like, account for every possible transaction and reconciling what how tell take us through just a high level, simple fifth grade explanation of what that Greek means. Break it down for most businesses that are a little bit overwhelmed or a little, totally just clueless to what those things mean and why it matters. So let's start with you, Harris, on those topics.
Um, yeah, that's kind of hard. Basically, bookkeeping into, let me think about that. I feel like how I would explain it is tracking your day to day expenses as a business. For example, your own expenses. Whenever you purchase something, whenever you have your income, sometimes at the end of the month, you're like, what happened to all my money? Where did it all go? In a high level in a company, imagine that, but with hundreds or thousands of transactions. And then at the end of the month, at the end of the year, you're all like asking that question, like, where did all my money go? Like, how much am I making? Uh, I'm supposed to be making this amount every month. Like at the end of the year, why is it at negative? Why is it only at like $10,000? I'm supposed to be making $1 million. Where did that money go? Where did my money come in? Am I getting paid? All the invoices that I send getting paid? That's kind of basically how I would explain what bookkeeping is. It's basically tracking your expenses, tracking your income, making sure you know what comes in, what comes out. And at the end of the year, when you do your taxes, you're like, okay, this is the number. CPAs can just book it and then do their tax return very easily. Because when we don't have that just solid foundation, taxes is going to be hard. You don't know what you're going to be making. You don't know the full story of your company, and but that's kind of how I would explain it.
That's really helpful, Harrison, just because, and I love that you made it very simple, easy to relate to. Everyone knows that, if they have their debit card or if their credit card, they're spending their money, just being able to keep up with the statements. People understand that experience with their personal finances. And so in business, like you said, it literally is the same way. It's tracking, all of the activities in the business.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I will ask you this. Let's just transition into this. What are the mistakes, the top mistakes that you find that business owners are making just on a regular, everyday basis, especially Q4?
The most common there's a lot of mistakes, but I would say the I would say the top two most common mistakes I always hear whenever we're onboarding clients, we're meeting clients, is the first one is I don't know what my books look like. I haven't even done it. Uh, I just give it to my CPA or my accountant, and then I just make sure they handle it. I feel like that's a mistake because you want to know your financials every month. You want to know what you're doing in your company every month. You want to know the story because, yeah, if you don't do it, you might be losing money. You wouldn't know. The accounts might be taking your money. You wouldn't know, and I think that's a common mistake because if you're not handling it well, if you're not keeping in touch with it, you're gonna get lost. You're gonna you're you're gonna get lost, and at the end of the year, once tax season comes, your financials not done. You're gonna be super behind, and then you're gonna be stressed. And the second mistake I would see is commingling funds. When you commingle your personal funds and your business funds, your transactions will be inaccurate, and auditors would see that as a red flag, and lenders would also see that as a red flag because there's no transparency, and there's no clarity, there's no accuracy in the books, and yeah, I would say those are the top two mistakes I would see.
I agree. I do. I know that a lot of business owners are guilty, right? And it's okay because
Mm-hmm.
we're all learning and growing every day. But business owners do, you're right, have a tendency to commingle
Mm-hmm.
or procrastinate, keeping up with their receipts. I even have, sometimes there are clients that do a lot of cash transactions. They're sending, transfers through Zelle, and there's just no reconciliation process where there's those transactions are being, matched with invoices or anything like that. So it gets pretty wild
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
fast, with that type of structure. And tell us some more about this. I mean, when we think about procrastination, like I said, no one's exempt from this. We've all been there. We all know what it's like to be in this the hot seat and be putting something off right until later. But what do you think, the danger is of that mindset of I'll clean it up later? What do you think? How does that affect, you know, businesses in the intangible ways that they don't know? Like, how would you, uh, what would you say about that?
Yeah, the biggest thing I've seen when procrastination so far is you're not doing your taxes. I've seen a few. We're working with a few clients that have their taxes behind 2, 3 years, and I feel like that's a big. I think that's a really big problem because the IRS they don't play games. If they don't like you, they can just close down your business, and your business can go bankrupt. And um, I feel like that's really the biggest problem that I can think of on top of my head. Um, when you procrastinate your books, you also procrastinate filing your taxes, and when you procrastinate filing your taxes, uh, your business might get shut down. So
Yeah. To add to that, it feels light at first, right? It's just 1 month. I can reconcile it later. It's 10 transactions. It's nothing. But 1 month becomes two, and we're all guilty of this. I am as well. I'm not perfect, but what happens is you might close that big client and you have to give them your attention because that's what feeds your business. That's what pays your payroll, is make sure that the lights stay on. And then that 3 months becomes six. And then you're extending your taxes, right? You're going through this process and it seems light, but very quickly it feels heavy. We work with clients that eventually these taxes become so stressful, and it takes from them. I noticed that their business gives them so much energy, but then when they think about this part of it that was started light feels heavy, and they get stressed. And that's where we get super excited, is we get to go in there. Yes, sometimes it's, shovel and dirt, but it's so fulfilling, and we honestly just enjoy freeing that up for them, because when we can take care of the back of the house, you get to see what a striker or what LeBron can do. They can just slam dunk it, right? You just need to alley oop it up to them, and they'll take it away. And so that's what we really get excited about, is, yeah, what happens if you don't have any limits or anything weighing you down? Yeah.
That's great, Elijah. And it kind of goes, it flows with the name of your business, Salt and Light. You're taking that burden off of them, and
Mm,
making it easier for them to sleep at night and run their business. And
yeah.
I have to just put this little plug in, just from being able to understand, we do a lot of similar, like I'm working with clients when they bring their financials to me. I usually do introduce them to, a team such as Salt and Light, or I work with other CPAs, or if they already have a CPA. There are times that, when the clients come to me, my question is, let me see your data room. And they're like, what's that? That usually is a big telltale sign that they probably don't have anything organized, or the files are everywhere. But what I find is that when people understand that financials help unlock capital, if the financials are organized and maintained, and they're clean, and they tell a very clear story of the business, that's when they can tap into that extra capital that they need to grow their business without it draining their own personal savings, which is a no. Like back to what you said, Harrison, like they're taking personal finances and commingling. So um, that's a big makes a big impact, for when a business is able to do that. So um, let's talk a little bit more about your system. Like, how do you help your clients kind of get control, like those updates that they need to be sending? Like, what does that look like? Those maybe those quarterly conversations, or just, do you have a process that keeps, businesses accountable for sending in updates? Or how do they set up their back office so that you're able to see, or kind of alert them on the needs that they may have?
Absolutely. We some of the feedback we get from our clients is we just love that you annoy us. Funny enough, we love that you tell us do this, do that, send us reminders, and so we like to set up a system where it's, hey, once a month, this month we send a feedback or an automated email that says, hey, it's time to do sales taxes. Let's get them taken care of, right? And so it depends on what each client needs. Obviously, that's what the best part about onboarding is. Every client's unique. Um, but one F&B client we have, they open up, yeah, coffee shops, and they have payroll requirements, they have sales tax requirements, they have financial reports that they need prepared, and so we set up a system based on their needs. When do they need to do it, and kind of just help them along the way. And if there are updates, hey, this new tax plan rolled out, big beautiful bill. You actually have a fleet of vehicles now. There, you can actually just have more. You can write off more interest payments, right? We keep track of that because that's what we geek out about. That's what we love to do, and we know that's a service to them, and so we love taking that on.
Thank you for sharing that. Well, if we were to put two examples side by side, a prepared, business and an unprepared business, and talk about those scenarios, what would that, how how would you describe those people?
Ooh, I've got a pretty good example. So I've got commercial real estate background, and something that's been fun is I've been able to work with such a breadth of companies. Some were very cowboy, they're flying by the seat of the pants, they're offering on a deal, and then they're like, let's get our books ready after. The other one had that data room you were talking about. They knew their ownership, their org charts, their trailing 12s, and they had that ready for lenders immediately. Needless to say, if those two were to offer on the same building, I guarantee you one's going to get 10 lenders calling them the same day. The other one, we're going to need a week because they don't even have the documents yet. And when you're buying a building, how you present yourself, that first impression is everything. You could offer the higher price, but if the next buyer, 2 million less, 2 million, it's a lot of money. If they're prepared, they've got the lender already on the hook, they're going to close with that guy because they know you're not going to, yeah, you're not going to waste their time. You're going to take care of them and it's going to close. And that means more than $2 million to lenders and to sellers, to owners and vendors. And so that's something that I always stress in real estate is what's that first impression and how do we do that with accounting and good bookkeeping?
Wonderful. Harrison, some questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to bounce the ball back to you. So 2026 is just around the corner. We're really knocking on the door already. It's
Yeah.
mid-December. So what are some some action items that businesses should be doing right now, if they haven't? But what should they start doing right now so that they can uh, prepare for the new year and
Mm-hmm.
start strong?
I would say if you have an accountant, you have your books taken care of. I would say take a look at the books, talk to your accountant. You want to know the full story of your business, not just the minor, uh, the minor stuff, but you also want the small details. Okay, what is this? What is this being categorized as a meal? I've never taken a meal from the business, or just even the small like, okay, who bought coffee grounds for the company? Uh, you want to know the whole story of your company. So I would say if you have an accountant, you have the books, you think your books are right, I would want to look at the books, making sure that your income statement is good, your balance sheet, all your assets, your liabilities are good. If you don't have an accountant, I would say reach out to your accountant. Reach out to a professional that could help you um, yeah, help you step by step, not just so you don't get stressed by the whole like, okay, I got to get my books done. Okay, it's tax season now, because March's tax season is coming up. Okay, have I done 2024, 2023? Where's my tax, my previous tax returns? Um, let's say talk to a professional that could give you a list, give you a step by step that they can um, help you navigate all this stuff and not be too overwhelmed because yes, it's very important to do it and there's big consequences, but we also want to get it right and we don't want to rush things. And I feel like there's a lot of common mistakes that we would do if we try to rush things, and especially when we're doing it in an anxious and a stressful environment. I feel like we make small mistakes pretty frequently, and even though we don't mean it. And I would say like having someone that could you can talk and have someone that can consult with you would be a really good step to take.
All right. That's great. So, and I have two more questions for you, Harris, and then I'm going to bounce the ball back to Elijah.
Come on,
So,
Harrison.
yeah, we're on a roll. Uh, so what systems should they, if they don't have it, but if they need it and they just, what systems should they have in place before January hits?
Before January hits, well, that's like in a month, so that would be really difficult. But I would say start start the year strong. If you don't have any
Mm,
system, get a system for your company, whatever that looks like, whatever that goal of yours look like, because every company has different goals. A smaller company would have a different goal than a bigger company, and the bigger company would have a different goal than a large company. If you have those goals, that is a good first step to take. Having a goal. If your goal is to just make money and then you don't think about everything else, that's how most companies get burned. That's how you keep looking for clients, but you and make money, but you forget all your financials. You forget all the money that you're putting in, your money and your time that you're putting into. Let's say setting a goal and talking to a professional, either a consultant or accountant or a CPA. Just talk to them about your goals and how you can put a system, whatever that looks like, would be a good first step.
Excellent. One more for you, Harrison. And I know you probably have more to say. I just, just in case, what's one habit? Because we want to make this, easy for someone to remember, want something to stick today. What's one bad habit that a business should stop today?
One that we've mentioned is procrastination, and second is it's not really a word, but it's a phrase, I guess. Uh, yes, bookkeeping and countings and numbers are boring, but it is very important.
yeah.
uh, so I guess like those are the two things I would say. Like procrastination is a bad habit, and treating books as something you don't need to do is also a pretty bad habit.
Got it. And Elijah, let's talk to you. So let's say you're talking where it's a business that is, maybe they had a bad experience, maybe their current team, maybe they had a accounting team, the person got sick, I don't know, maybe they need to replace someone. How would someone go about, what's the best way for that business owner to go about in qualifying a new team to help them, give them a whole financial makeover? How do they do that?
Mm, man, that's a good question. Um, I think when it comes to finances, like I said, a lot of our business partners, a lot of our clients, our best fits are companies that we can work together alongside, that we have the same mission, we have the same goals, and have the same heart. What I'm noticing is the clients that going from one team to us is this team going to treat me like a priority? Am I a priority to them? Or are they going to send me the same retainer fee and it take 3 days for me to get a reply? Can I get a meeting with them? I think availability is so important because I have some clients with these really heavy feelings about taxes, or they have problems they need fixed, right? And the transition is it's taking 3 days to get a response. And that's hurting our client. It's more fees, it's more stress. And so I think looking for a client that serves what you need, right? That will treat you like a priority is one thing. And also, do they know their stuff, right? It's not about relationships. It's not about just their availability, but do they know their stuff? Is there someone that will vouch for them? Is there like case study? Have they worked with my industry before? I think that's another important thing is, hey, this accounting company might just be food and beverage, but if I'm a hotel or a not hotel. If I'm a hospital brand, I'm not going to use this F&B focused accountant. And so not only do they know their stuff, but are they good for my industry? I think there's nuances there, and those are very important. Absolutely.
You said a mouthful, which all of it matters, especially that point you made about working with someone who's been or worked in that industry that business is in. That is so key to success.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are your final thoughts for today? I know we've had a really great, full, informative conversation that just kind of tickles, kind of tickles the appetite, gets people interested, and gets them thinking. But what would you like to say in closing to our audience today?
Is that for both of us? I'd
Sure.
love to hear Harrison's thoughts first.
My thoughts. I guess how much, if the numbers are right, you're doing a good job. If the numbers are wrong, call us.
That's
Simple.
good. I should have had him close. I should have had him close. I don't know how to follow that one up. I'd say this in encouragement, right? We all make mistakes. If listeners or business owners, small, medium, large, startup, nonprofit, if they're hearing this or they're listening and they feel heavy about books, it's okay. It's fixable. It's not the end of the world. And, definitely seek a professional if it ever starts to feel heavy. And because I think businesses can be fun, right? It can solve problems, it can be fruitful. Yeah, definitely don't. I want to encourage business owners to seek that out and not feel like coming to a lender shouldn't feel heavy. How do I make it feel easier? How do I make that best first impression? And we would love to help with that. Yeah.
I love it. And everybody, for those of you who are watching live or even watching after we finish this interview, if today made you realize your numbers need a reset, you're not behind, you're right on time. And Salt and Light can help you, just as has already been explained, that they can help you clean up your story so that your numbers are telling the right story with clarity about your business. And
Hmm.
Cheese can help you turn that clarity into capital, partnerships, and growth. So if you're serious about 2026, don't wait until lenders start asking for the documents that you don't have. This is the time, just as Elijah already said, go ahead and schedule a discovery call with Salt and Light Bookkeeping. And Elijah, would you tell everyone how that they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a mouthful. Get ready. So saltandlightbookkeepers.com. That's our website. You can also follow us on LinkedIn and DM us there. But if you go to our website, we have a contact us link. That's directly to my calendar. You get direct access. Probably shouldn't be there, but you can just set up a meeting with Harrison and I. And yeah, so set up a call with us. We're friendly. We're not mean. We don't say, oh, this is bad, but feel free to grab a short meeting with us.
Wonderful. And we will be dropping a link in the caption of the videos, and and certainly for those of you who are really interested in, doing live workshops, Cheese into 2026 will be preparing for loan readiness workshops, and we will be partnering with banks, and we will be here in Richardson at the Hexa Co-working Innovation Center to do these events. We will be doing all kinds of events to help businesses, have access to our great partners like Salt and Light. So please, please, please stay in touch with me. Reach out to me. I will drop a link to my website, makecheese.com, and you would be able to schedule a discovery call with me as well. And I can help guide you and navigate you as well. So super excited that we had this conversation. Thank you both, Elijah and Harrison. Thank you both so much for just your time today. Super excited and for your success in 2026. All right.
All right. Thank you so much, Sarita. Same to you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.